Hello and welcome to another edition of Chambers Expert Focus. This episode will be focused on the role of AI in arbitration proceedings, and I'm delighted to be joined today by Ariela Agosin, partner at Albagli Zaliasnik and the leader of the firm's litigation practice. We will be discussing the innovations, benefits, and potential risks of AI in arbitration, its role in evidence evaluation and its legal application, its impact on arbitrator impartiality, and the challenges AI poses, or at least might pose, to confidentiality. Welcome, Ariela.
Hi, thank you very much. I'm very happy to have this opportunity to talk about these very interesting topics regarding arbitration. So thank you to Chambers for giving me that this opportunity.
Thank you. To begin with, and just to start with the big picture, considering the growth of AI and the possibilities it has to offer the legal sector, what, in your view, are the main innovations and benefits it could bring to arbitration? And actually, in the same context, what would you identify as the key risks and threats regarding arbitration procedures?
Well, I think that there are many advantages, and certainly the fact that AI can assist arbitrators in managing and analyzing the evidence. It is well known that most of the difficulties that arbitrators have at the moment of ruling or deciding a case is managing and analyzing and systematizing the evidence and all the information and background of the case. So tools that can help on that, on systematizing, classifying, right, and also help with the transcriptions, help with the processing of audiovisual and videos of hearings. All of this can be very, very useful and will make and is making, I think, already in many parts, in many countries, is helping a lot, and it has been a very good, useful. And there are also some rulings or decisions that are very simple and very mechanical that could be done by the AI. Like, I don't know, some processing or something with a procedure, orders to notify or notice someone, or a power of attorney, things like that are very, very small and practical could be done by the AI without any problem, I think. And talking about the risk, I think probably the main challenge is clearly handling the confidentiality of the information and all the documents. Since when you are using AI, the parts of the case and the arbitrators, sometimes you are using just, the cloud and a public cloud or a public system. I think it's important to establish which system will be used by the arbitrator, either with the arbitrator or the parts, in order to know what to expect. But it's very important to have clarity about what are you using, who is processing the information, where it's going to be the information. So all the confidentiality and managing of that information that will be used, it's very important.
Great. That's an excellent overview to start with. And if we now drill down a bit, when integrating AI into arbitration procedures, would you say that it should be limited to being merely a tool used for arbitral tribunals in some of the ways you've already been discussing, or by human arbitrators? Or would you say that AI could actually take on a larger role by taking over some jurisdictional functions, assessing evidence, or even applying the law?
Well, I think it must be always a combination between the human and AI. And of course, we want to see that with the time, probably more and more decisions will be done by AI. But I think that always must have a review, a check by a judge, a human judge. As I said, there are some things that can be solved or decided by AI with no problem, things that are very procedural, but you have to have always the chance to challenge that decision, the decision, even if it's very mechanical and something very small, like in order to notice someone or something about a document. I think the parts have always had the capacity, the right to challenge that. And at the end of the day, it will be a human judge who would decide if that was right or not. But today, the decisions that are more important, like a final ruling or things like that, they should be done by a human judge. Even though the judge can use, of course, the help of AI all the time. And in some countries like China, for example, it is already something that is legal to use. You can use AI for processing the whole information in the case. It can even give you a resolution, a final resolution, the ruling of the case, but it must be checked and reviewed and approved by a human judge. I think that is a combination that should work very well.
Interesting. So familiar advice really from not just the legal sector, but everywhere for dealing with AI, that it's so useful, but there always needs to be a human check, a human factor. And actually in relation to the previous question and things that you can use AI for, do you think that the use of AI tools could help to ensure the sort of independence and the impartiality and the suitability of arbitrators on a tribunal or panel when you're forming that arbitration committee? I mean, how do you think AI can help with that?
It might be very, very useful because today it's not easy to do the conflict check, right? And it can avoid many difficulties and many problems that you can have, and also a long time, right? Because sometimes it takes very long time until the panel or the arbitrators are appointed. And that is because you choose one, then one conflict of interest arise, and then you choose another one, and it also have a problem. So if you can check with AI a more broader kind of information about the person that you want to appoint, it will probably be very useful. It doesn't mean that after all the AI check, it might also be some kind of conflict of interest that can arise too, but we'll probably avoid most of them. So I think it will be very useful in this point. And also you can check information that maybe it's not on the hand of the person that has, or the institution that has to appoint an arbitrator. Information that is in another country, in another institution, or wherever, or in companies. And of course, AI can look for that information. So I think that it's very useful. It should be used today before appointing someone. And if something arises anyway, well, you can have the regular procedure for that. But of course, it will take shorter to have a panel, for example.
Excellent. Well, you could see how it could save significant time there. In many cases, parties end up resorting to arbitration because of the possibility of keeping the content of their dispute confidential. One of the key reasons for using alternative dispute resolution. The use of AI tools often involves the delivery of information, and in many cases that's going to include sensitive and confidential information, and perhaps the possibility of third parties accessing that sensitive information. What is your opinion on using AI tools to process documents and evidence in relation to this risk of violating the confidentiality of the arbitration process?
Well, I talk a little bit about that for the past minutes, but I think it's very important to look at this. Of course, as you said, most of the times the companies decide to have an arbitration and not a regular trial because they want confidentiality about it. So it's important to safeguard that confidentiality. And with AI, you have always the problem or the possibility that being the information that you provide to the AI in the cloud will be public, or someone can find it. So you have some safeguards about that. For example, try first to disclose which tools of AI you're going to be using, the parts will be using, and the tribunal will be using, the arbitrator. Second, to try not to use in AI the names of the people or the companies that are involved in the case. Try to do everything that is a research or processing with anonymous, with no names. And third, try to use AI tools that are of the company, of the firm, of the institution, and not something public like, I don't know, ChatGPT or something else, unless you have all the regards that it's going to be very confidential. And the other thing that you can use is encrypted information, which is very useful too. So all these things has to be on the table when you decide to use AI, even as a part or as an arbitrator.
Thank you. And arbitration, in addition to its confidentiality, is also valued for its efficiency and its effectiveness as a dispute resolution mechanism. And in this sense, one of its particularities is the role of the judge in stages such as conciliation and rapprochement between the parties. Could AI play an active role in this stage of arbitration, or do you think it depends more on the prudence and the skill and what we might call the human qualities of the arbitral tribunal?
Well, as I said regarding the rulings, I think this applies also to this stage of the cases, because it must be, or it may be, a combination between AI and the human judge. I think it's very important the human judge touch there, right, to convince the parties, to talk with them, to introduce what is your thoughts about it, a little bit to push the agreement. But also AI can give you ideas. It can process some information that is maybe not even there already because the evidentiary period hasn't started. But you can have the positions of the parties, and AI can give you some ideas of how the market of those that are involved in the case, how it works, and thinking out of the box, even being a box probably, to bring to the table some solutions that might be useful for both parts. I think it always can help. And the important thing is try to use it in a way that will be fun and will be really useful for the case, for the parties, and with the human judge, the arbitrator being there. I mean, the hearing for an agreement or the meeting for an agreement is something that is and must be human. But some proposals and ideas can come from AI, and certainly it will be I think will be very, very useful in this stage.
Thank you. And lastly, we've been focusing on the development of AI in the arbitration sector globally, but how would you compare these with the specific developments in your own jurisdiction, Chile? Do you think AI development and integration in Chile should accelerate? Would it be wiser perhaps to show caution?
I think in Chile, we are quite behind in implementing these tools. First, the firms. Many lawyers are using regular AI tools, but like ChatGPT or what they find and for themselves, but there's no yet a real implementation in the firms of an AI tool that will comply with everything that must be there, as I said, the confidentialities and other things. So I think we are behind. We have to work more with that. And regarding the arbitrators, at least there is no regulation about that. There is a regulation about AI, but not specifically about AI in arbitration or in procedures. The civil procedure in Chile is very old, and We have been trying to update it, and it has been very, very difficult because of the Congress issues. And so you can imagine about arbitration, it's the same thing. Even though some institutions like CAM Santiago, the Cámara de Comercio de Santiago, which is the ICC here also, has been working a lot with technology. I think we still have a lot of space to work with more technology and also with AI. That will be very useful. And of course, because we are lawyers and we are working in a legal field, we need more regulation about this in order to be really useful. Maybe you don't need really regulation like from the top, but in any case that you are starting to put the rules of the procedure, try to address the topic of the AI. Will we use, will the tribunal use AI? If so, which kind of AI? Is it okay for the parties? Is it not? How can I challenge the AI results? So all of these things must be regulated. Maybe we don't need, as I said, a regulation from the top, but we can regulate it in every case. I'm an arbitrator by myself, and I try to manage it since the first moment of the case. And that is very important. So I think Chile is behind, probably not the last country. There are many countries that probably are worse than us, but we can still do many things, and we have to, because if not, we're going to be really, really behind more than where we are today. This is working very, very fast, and we have to be faster than not than anyone, but we have to be faster in order to be updated.
Well, sometimes it seems like we've all got a race to catch up with AI, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time, Ariela. This has been a fascinating conversation and a very revealing glimpse into the possible future of dispute resolution.
Thank you, Jonathan, and to Chambers for this opportunity. As I said, it's very interesting to have the opportunity to talk about this, and I really hope that we all, the people that work in litigation in general, will be working with AI as our friends and not as our enemy.
Thank you.
Thank you.